But why would we ask the American taxpayer to spend upwards of $1 billion on a plane that would then only be used for a handful of months and then transferred directly to the president? That doesn't sound like a wise use of taxpayer dollars.
A lot of the capabilities, as you know, Senator, of that particular platform are and should remain classified. So there are reasons why you might modify, even for a short period of time, an aircraft to ensure the safety and security of the President of the United States.
But when do you believe that those upgrades would be made? How long would the president have it before it got transferred to his personal possession?
That would be a determination of the Air Force that would take hold of it and make those modifications within whatever time window they believe gets it to the place where it need to be.
Yeah, I think this is extraordinary, Mr. Chairman. We're talking about a pretty massive investment of appropriations dollars into a plane that the Secretary is saying is currently planned to be transferred personally to the president. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here today. I wanted to build on some of the questions that Senator Schatz was asking, just to try to build a fact predicate for some of the tough spending decisions we're going to have to make here. Just to confirm, I heard you say, with respect to the gift of the plane from Qatar, that we do not yet have a signed MOU with the government of Qatar. Is that right?
Correct. We're in the process of working through that.
And did you also say we don't have a signed contract with the company that is going to do the work? Or did you say that we have a contract, you're just not willing to disclose the terms?
The terms should not be disclosed of anything related to an aircraft of this type.
So in 2018, when the contract was signed with Boeing to do the upgrades or the new contracts for Air Force One, the terms of that contract were disclosed. They were made public. In fact, it was the Trump administration that issued a press release giving the total as $3.9 billion. Are you saying this time around, even after you sign the contract, you're not going to make public any of the terms of the contract?
I wasn't involved in that previous administration decision, but we're happy to take a look.
The Air Force testified before the House that that contract would likely deliver the new Air Force Ones by the 2028 timeframe. It doesn't stand to reason that you will be able to retrofit the plane from Qatar much sooner than 2028. So I'm trying to understand what the gap is that we're trying to fill. If this contract ends up being $500 million and the gap only ends up being 6 months, that doesn't sound like a wise investment for this committee to make.
Senator, I would defer to the expertise of the Air Force as far as timing of modifications and when that would happen, but there's also been delay after delay after delay on the Boeing side, so I don't know that's a firm fixed date yet, unfortunately, can be counted on.
So obviously the underlying question here is what is going to happen to the plane at the end of Trump's presidency. The president said on May 12th that this plane would be transferred to his presidential library at the end of his term. Is that your understanding of what is going to happen to this plane?
The president said that. That's my understanding, although I would look at what comes out in the MOU.
But why would we ask the American taxpayer to spend upwards of $1 billion on a plane that would then only be used for a handful of months and then transferred directly to the president? That doesn't sound like a wise use of taxpayer dollars.
A lot of the capabilities, as you know, Senator, of that particular platform are and should remain classified. So there are reasons why you might modify, even for a short period of time, an aircraft to ensure the safety and security of the President of the United States.
But when do you believe that those upgrades would be made? How long would the president have it before it got transferred to his personal possession?
That would be a determination of the Air Force that would take hold of it and make those modifications within whatever time window they believe gets it to the place where it need to be.
Yeah, I think this is extraordinary, Mr. Chairman. We're talking about a pretty massive investment of appropriations dollars into a plane that the Secretary is saying is currently planned to be transferred personally to the president. There's a lot of other pending needs that we need to fund. This would seem to be low on the list. Mr. Secretary, one final question. Obviously, you know that there is a concern in the public about a double standard that is applied to protest, sometimes protest that turns violent. The president, when he came into office, issued pardons to the individuals that attacked the United States Capitol, including those individuals who beat savagely police officers. You have deployed the National Guard and readied Marines in a way that many people think is unnecessary given the state and the local resources. So maybe let me ask the question this way so that you can assuage people's concerns that there is a double standard. The National Guard was deployed here on January 6th, and that was a decision made by the Department of Defense. Do you support that decision? Do you believe that that was the right decision to deploy the National Guard to defend the Capitol on January 6th?
All I know is it's the right decision to be deploying the National Guard in Los Angeles to defend ICE agents who deserve to be defended in the execution of their jobs.
But I think it's important to know whether you think it was also important to have the National Guard defending the United States Capitol when there were violent protesters here on the president's behalf, to make sure that folks know that you care about protest, whether it's against the president or on behalf of the president.
Senator, I was in the Washington, D.C. National Guard when that happened and was initially ordered to go guard the inauguration of Joe Biden. But because of the politicization of the Biden administration, my orders were revoked. And ultimately, because of the politics that were being played inside the Defense Department by the previous administration.
But do you support the decision made on January 6th to send the National Guard here to defend the Capitol?
I support the decision that President Trump made and requesting the National Guard that was denied.
So you do not.
President Trump
you do not support the decision.
Support
you do not
for the
support
National
the
Guard
decision
in
to
advance
send the National
and
Guard
was
here
denied.
to defend the Capitol. I think that speaks to the worry that many Americans have that there is a double standard, that you are not willing to defend against attacks made on our democracy by supporters of the president, but you are willing to deploy the National Guard to protect against protesters who are criticizing the president. That's not how our taxpayer dollars are supposed to work. They're supposed to be used to defend the United States, no matter the nature of the political affiliation of the protesters. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
But let's get something straight.
We ask the
Pete
American
Hegseth
taxpayer
wants to
to
spend your tax dollars on a
upwards of
billion-dollar
$1 billion
luxury jet for Donald Trump, a vanity
on a plane that
plane.
would then only be
He'd use
used
for only a few months before it's handed over to his
and
presidential
transferred
library
directly to
like
the
a
president.
personal
That doesn't sound like a
trophy.
wise use of taxpayer
While
dollars.
military families sleep in moldy barracks,
A lot of the
while
capabilities,
soldiers wait for
as
basic
you know,
gear and
Senator,
equipment,
of that particular platform,
Hegseth is prioritizing
are
Trump's
and
ego
should
over
remain
our troops.
classified. So there are reasons
And when
why you
Senator
might
Chris
modify,
Murphy
even for a
directly
short
confronted
period of
him,
time, an aircraft
asking
to
if he
ensure
even supported
the safety
sending the
and
National
security
Guard to
of
defend the U.S.
President of the United
Capitol on
States.
January 6th,
When do you believe that
Hegseth
those
dodged,
upgrades would be
spun,
made? How
and
long would
refused
the
to
president
answer,
have it before
insisting
it got
Trump made the
transferred to
right
his
call.
personal possession?
While American democracy was
That
under
would be
attack,
a determination of the
it's
Air
not
Force
military
that would
strategists' loyalty
take hold of it
theater.
and make
Behind
those
the scenes,
modifications within whatever
Hegseth is
time
pushing
window
a
they believe
secretive
gets to
jet
the place
deal
where it needs to
with
be.
no signed contract.
I think
No
this is
confirmed delivery
extraordinary,
from
Mr. Chairman.
Boeing
We're talking
and zero
about a pretty massive
transparency.
investment of
While the
appropriations dollars
Pentagon
into a
cries
plane that
poverty to the
the
very
Secretary
troops who risked their
saying,
lives.
is currently
exposed the
planned
truth.
to be transferred personally
This isn't about
to
defense.
the president.
It's about protecting Trump's image at any cost.
There's a lot of other
And the most
pending
shameful
needs that
part,
we need to
Hegseth
fund.
won't
This
even
would seem to be
acknowledge
low
that
on the
deploying
list.
the Guard to
Mr.
save
Secretary,
Congress
one
from a
final
violent
question.
mob that left Capitol
Obviously,
Police
you know
bloodied
that
and
there
battered
is a
was the right
concern
thing to do.
in the public,
Instead, he whines about
a
being
double
punished by the Biden
standard that is
administration
applied to
and pretends he's
protests,
the victim.
sometimes protests
Let's
that
call this
turns
what it is:
violent.
corruption,
The president, when he came into
incompetence,
office,
and the total
issued
betrayal of
pardons
American
to the
values.
individuals that attacked the United States
If you're as
Capitol,
fed up as I
including
am
those
with this
individuals
fake
who beat
patriotism
savagely
masquerading as
police
defense
officers,
policy,
you have
hit
deployed the National
subscribe,
Guard,
ring the
and readied
bell,
Marines,
drop a comment.
in a way that many
Share
people
this
think is
video with
unnecessary
everyone who
given the
cares
state
about
and the
protecting
local
our
resources.
democracy.
So
And join
maybe
our
let me ask the
Patreon
question
community
this way so
to
that
help
you
us
can
keep
assuage
holding the
people's
powerful
concerns that there is a
accountable.
double standard.